So recently, our friends over at Celluloid Dreams have sent us their latest release, Short Night of Glass Dolls. This is a 1971 giallo film that I've never seen. I've heard of it, but I've never actually seen it. But now I've had the opportunity because of Celluloid Dreams. Now, last year, they sent us Case of the Bloody Iris. This was a great, fantastic release. Came with lobby cards and even a mouse pad. It was great, y'all. So I appreciate Celluloid Dreams. And without even letting me know, they sent me this one. So, of course, it's a new movie I've never seen. Well, it's a 1971 new to me movie I've never seen. I love what Celluloid Dreams did with Case of the Bloody Iris. I'm excited to dive into this. And now it's time for our Short Night of Glass Dolls movie review. So like I said, Short Night of Glass Dolls is a 1971 Italian film, a giallo. It was also produced by West Germany as well. It's a brilliant film. It's written and directed by Aldo Lotto. I'm not super familiar with his work. So I was intrigued by this book, or by this movie. And I knew that this movie was coming from Celluloid Dreams, and I had heard about it a little bit before, but nothing like super solid. And I can tell you super solidly, this movie frickin' rocks, right? So it stars Jean Sorel as Gregory in this movie. And in most gialli, you get the idea that there's like a murder and somebody, usually a reporter or somebody in another profession, not a police officer, not a detective, but somebody from another country is trying to explore the murder. But this is the first gialli that I can think of that the protagonist is presumed dead from the very beginning. Because the movie was also released as Paralyzed or something like that. And it starts off with our main character dead on a slab. He's found dead, his body's found dead, but his consciousness is still alive. He is still aware of everything that's going on inside while he's on the slab at the morgue, all the way up to where he's on the autopsy table by the end of the movie. But one of the things he does to stay sane is to revisit the events that led him here because his memory's a little bit fuzzy. And it involves his girlfriend, who is played by Barbara Bach. She is gorgeous. She's in The Spy Who Loved Me. If she looks familiar, that's why. So he reminisces about that. So he is a foreign correspondent. He's an American in Prague. This movie is set in Prague at the time, the Czechoslovakia, I believe, or something like that. So this is 1971. This is before the Berlin Wall comes down and the collapse of the USSR and all that stuff, right? So he is trying to solve the mystery of how he ended up dead on a morgue slab, but still conscious, right? He took his girlfriend to a party, and I think she lives in Prague, and she wants to run away with him, but every time he's in Prague, he hooks up with her, and then she disappears one night, and then him, with the help of his other reporter friends, including Jessica, right here, who he also has had an affair with, and his friend Jacques, right there, who is a very interesting and flamboyant character in this film, and I really, really like this character. But it's up to them and him and a few other key witnesses to uncoil this mystery of what's going on. And the movie is really intriguing because it cuts back and forth between the investigation, his investigation, I should say, and how the police are actively against him, and there's these other elements of society that seem like they're against him as well. And at the same time, it's intercut with scenes of him on the morgue table. The doctor's trying to figure out if he's alive or if he's dead or anything like that. But slight spoilers here, it ultimately unfurls in a weird sex cult type thing going on, right? So it turns out that some of the more prominent members of society are involved in the mysterious disappearance of his girlfriend. And as he has help from others, and some others get got throughout the course of the movie, and some don't, all these intriguing elements eventually build to one point that is pretty freaking cool. And the revelation happens, and then y'all, I'm going to slightly spoil this. At the end of the movie, as he's finally coming back to life from his state of paralysis, he gets killed on the autopsy table. Short Night of Glass Dolls is a pretty solid movie. I really liked it. I've watched a lot of Gialli. The Giallo film is typically an Italian-produced film that is a murder mystery that involves a killer and somebody, usually from a foreign country, trying to solve the murder. In this case, it's a foreign correspondent reporter in Prague trying to solve the mystery of his own murder, and throughout his recollections on the slab, fully conscious, he recollects the rest of the movie, and it unveils this whole Illuminati-esque conspiracy, right? Pretty solid, fun stuff that was engaging from the get-go, y'all. As soon as this movie started, I loved it. I was thinking about things like there's a Tales from the Crypt episode where a wife and her boyfriend kill the husband of the wife, right? And he's still conscious in his body and in his mind. I think of things like Serpent and the Rainbow, a brilliant Wes Craven film. But this movie is 1971, way far beyond or before the time of those films. I don't know if this is the first movie dealing with the idea of just being in a paralyzed, induced state, but being fully conscious, but everybody else thinks you're dead. And it doesn't end in a buried alive type bit. Like, even Lost played this bit, right? In season 3. It was very intriguing, and it was way different than other Gialli that I have seen. And I appreciated the movie for that. It is filmed beautifully. This is Aldo's first movie. So it's Aldo Lotto, who also did... this is his first movie. He also did Who Saw Her Die, The Cousin, Woman Buried Alive, The Humanoid. I am not familiar with this dude's work. But the movie really works. Now, one of the things, and this is brought to you by some of the special features on this disc, we'll get to that. But one of the themes of this movie is that this is about like Prague at a certain point. There was a rebellion that was formulating in Prague back in the late 60s or so, right? And there was like a new government or a new president or something that was like elected in. Everything looked good. The youth were rebelling. And then the Warsaw Pact came in and just wrecked it all. So this movie is kind of a response to that from the director and the writer. And that's interesting. It has a lot of themes that it explores about freedom, government control, the rights of power, who has power, how is that power being used. It deals with a lot of that. It deals with a lot of power dynamics, mostly in government, and it does very specifically lean into this one element of this conquering, if you will, of a rebellion in Prague, right? It utilizes the setting of Prague incredibly well. Most of it wasn't filmed in Prague, right? And it's probably, and I think they say this on the Blu Ray at some point. I think Guido, who does the English commentary here, I think he mentioned it. But it might be like the first out of all Jolly that deal with a story beyond the Iron Curtain, which is actually there's a lot of interesting bits to this movie that make it separate itself from other Giallo films. So Short Night of Glass Dolls is a brilliant film. The music is done by Ennio Morricone, who you will know as the wham 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 wham. He's great. He's also the composer of John Carpenter's The Thing. He's done a lot of movies that we've talked about here on PCP. The music here is some of his best. It gets so unsettling, so unnerving, disharmonious at times. The disharmonious nature of the score is what really elevates it for me. There feels to be early, like, synthy type things being involved here. A lot of ambient noise, a lot of utilization of tones and shrieks, and there's so much there, but at the same time, very melodic and beautiful at certain moments of the film. So I think it's one of Morricone's best scores that out of any movie I've watched outside of his Western work with Sergio Leone. Short Night of Glass Dolls is a brilliant, brilliant film. I really, really, really like it. And overall, I would give the movie a 4.69, you digs. There are moments towards the third act where maybe it slows up just a tad. Just a tad. But it is pretty much a lean movie. The first act is flawless. The second act is super solid. The third act is where it gets a little bit like this, but by the end of it, I was left solely satisfied. So a 4.69 for the movie. Let's talk about this release. Let's take a look at The Case of the Bloody Iris versus Short Night of Glass Dolls. Both of these are 4K Ultra HD, as well as Blu Ray. So there's a 4K and a Blu Ray disc, and a disc of bonus features and shit like that. This is a movie that just comes with a slipcase, and that was dope. This movie comes in a hard case that is absolutely stunning, gorgeous, and beautiful on a shelf. Inside is the actual Blu Ray 4K right there, set. And then a book. A book right here that is about the career of Aldo Lado, who passed away in 2023. It's got many different little essays, a lot of photos in there. It is a gorgeous book. It is very informative on the movie, on the themes, on the plot, on the cinematic qualities of the film. It is incredibly well done. This is comparable to a Criterion release, right? Like, seriously, Criterion movies that come with these retrospectives, these essays, these books. This is splendid. Case of the Bloody Iris didn't do that. This one does. It even talks about the specific details of the restoration. It's a thick one, y'all. There's a lot of stuff there. The discs itself, or themselves, there is a reversible slip. The other side of the slip is the same image with the Italian title. So it's the same image with the Italian title. Bear with me as I put this back in, because I'm that kind of nerd. All right. There is a coming soon for their next release, which was the same release that was promised on Case of the Bloody Iris, but they went into Short Night of Glass Dolls for a reason that I don't quite know, but I remember them talking about it on their social medias. Anyway, Disc 1 is the 4K. I don't have a 4K player, so I didn't get to watch that one. Disc 2 is the Blu Ray. That's the one I watched. Same special features on both. Look great. Disc 3 is the bonus features. Lots of content here, including like an hour and 40-minute long interview with the director, another interview with the director, there's tons of interviews here, like all kinds of people. There's a great retrospective on the movie, a great video essay. There's like 3 hours of content on that disc alone. And then this final disc has the paralyzed version and the Grindhouse version. The Grindhouse version has like the same, like before the restoration, I guess, like the film grit effects, and that's really cool. It looks like you're watching it at a Grindhouse movie theater, and the paralyzed version is like a VHS transfer, so you get that VHS feel too. So Celluloid Dreams knows what the fuck they're doing. It's worth it because you get pristine 4K quality, I'm assuming. You got a beautiful 4K restoration on the Blu Ray that looks amazing. The colors pop. Everything about this is a darker giallo than some of the other gialli that I've seen, but like it's not too dark. And like, but I don't mean that. I mean that visually. I don't mean that like subject material. I've seen darker gialli, like, but like this one, it has like a subdued kind of palette that really pops, and the colors really pop for it. And those other versions, I briefly took a look at them, and they looked amazing. So what an amazing set. You get a really extensive, comprehensive, Criterion-esque book, along with a 4-disc set that has so many versions of the film, whether if you want it to be a Grindhouse feel, if you want it to be super clean and restored, or if you want it to look like a VHS, you have all those options here. Lots of special features, including an isolated score of an amazing score, and then a brilliant package put together for this. This is even better than the Case of the Bloody Iris package. And let me show you some of the extras that they sent me and that I think you can get with the Ultra Special Edition. You get a film cell from the movie, so that's cool. It's always cool to have that. And we get these lobby cards. They sent us some lobby cards with Case of the Bloody Iris. We get lobby cards for Short Night of Glass Dolls. So overall, I would say the movie gets a 4.69. I really liked the movie. I thought it was solid, very inventive, very imaginative. I had a lot of fun with it. But this set from Celluloid Dreams, their second release ever, they've only done Case of the Bloody Iris and now this. They are one of my favorite boutique movie Blu Ray 4K distributors because just these lobby cards, the film cell, the quality of the packaging, the artifact itself, the special features, the sound, the video, everything about it was so pristinely put together, so meticulously crafted. It's brilliant. It's a great film that really needs to be more, like, y'all, people think I'm an expert on Italian cinema. No, because I never even heard of this movie. Thank you, Celluloid Dreams, for sending me this. They have got another 5 out of 5 as far as the physical media release of this movie. The movie's already great, but the physical release is even better. 5 out of 5, perfect score, Short Night of Glass Dolls from Celluloid Dreams. I would highly encourage anybody to check it out. It is a fantastic movie and an even better release. Thank you, Celluloid Dreams. Looking forward to the next one.